You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 10th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission, our regular meeting on Monday, June 10th, here at City Hall. Roll call, Mr. Demkowski. Mr. Gertner.
Here.
Mr. Hulse.
Here.
Ms. Matias right here. Ms. Tillman.
Present.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
All members are present. Next on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes of the executive session of May 13th and the regular meeting on the 13th of May, as well as the executive session for the 5th of June. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the executive session and the two executive sessions and the hybrid regular meeting of the 13th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We have the motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have claims for June 10th, 2024. Mr. York.
1 second. This is the Department of Redevelopment claims for June 10th, 2024. For payroll, we had May 2024, we had CDBG reimbursables, staff, and commissioners. From our operating account, we had corporate payment systems for Metro Housing Summit Conference, 6/3/24 or 6/4/24, which was for me. That was a housing conference that I attended. We had Great American Financial for copier fees for May of 2024. Saranac Law Offices for a legal retainer for May of 2024. From the North TIF, we had Amazon Supplies for electric service at Civic Plaza, 7th and Franklin. ALB Development Advisors for consulting for the Indiana State Prison RFQ from September 2024 to April 2024. August MAC for 2023 activities for 4/1/24 and 4/28 or through 4/28/24. Baker Tilly Professional Services for North TIF reporting. Barnes and Thornburg legal fees to redevelopment and economic matters ending in 4/30/2024. Barnes and Thornburg for legal fees for Bloxham arbitration ending in 4/30/2024. Butler Fairman and Seifert for engineering for Washington Park Boulevard streetscape 2/1/24 through 4/30/24. City of Michigan City for landscape maintenance through vector control for 2024 season, half North TIF. Haas and Associates for Michigan City On-Call Services for NICTD double track for 4/22/24 through 5/19/24. HRP Construction for construction of Interceptor Trench Pay 3. Marcus Electric for electric service at the Civic Plaza 7th and Franklin Pay 1. Blue Shalley, Racher, and Braun for legal services, Trail Creek Properties, expenses and advances. Saranac Law Offices for legal services for North TIF, May 2024. U.S. Bank for debt service payment for Wabash refunded 2021 bond. Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services for the Transit Center, 6/3/6/24 through 4/19/24. Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services, general matters for 8/16/23. Wallach, Summers, and Haas for legal services. You Are Beautiful Solasite 4/25/24 through 4/27/24. In the South TIF, we have Baker Tilly for professional services in the South TIF reporting. City of Michigan City landscape maintenance through vector control 2024 half South TIF. Global engineering for CCNG 2024 1. For 1/11/24 through 1/31/24. Global engineering for engineering of Myers Drive right of way 4/24/24 through 5/17/24. Saranac Law Offices for legal services in the South TIF of May 2024. U.S. Bank for 400 North Bond administration fees for 124 through 3/31/25. U.S. Bank for debt services payments. Debt service payment for 400 North refunded 2015 bond. And then from the East TIF, we had Baker Tilly for professional services in the East TIF reporting. And we had from the Northeast TIF, we had Baker Tilly from the professionals for professional services Northeast TIF reporting.
Thank you. Are there any questions in regards to the claims? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept the claims as presented.
I'd like to make the motion to accept as presented. The claim.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the June 10th claims from the Department of Redevelopment as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you. At this time, we need to amend our agenda. We have a facade grant request for RK Tap House and Grill, 124 West 4th Street. So rather than tack it on at the end of the agenda, I'd love to put that at the beginning of the agenda. If we could have a motion to amend the agenda and accept the facade grant request added to the agenda.
I'll make the motion to accept it to be added at this time. The agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. So at this time, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried, and so the agenda is amended. So next on the agenda, we will consider the facade grant request for RK Tap House and Grill, 124 West 4th Street.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, board.
Good
Can you hear
evening.
me? I'm here for 124 West 4th Street for RK Tap House and Grill. They previously went in front of you guys on the March 11th Redevelopment Commission meeting where you guys had approved the initial 15 grand, and now they have come back to ask for the next iteration of that to total the 30 grand. So with this work, we're looking to do brick cleaning, repairs, caulking, and painting. And they will put a total investment of $43,720. And they have met all the requirements for both the Historic Preservation District as well as for the facade program.
Great, thank you. Skylar, anything else we need to know?
No, I think Mr. Rule is here. Mr. Rule, if you'd like to speak, you're more than welcome. The building looks really nice. You may have noticed he probably in the last week and a half, the front has gotten fixed and it looks very nice.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you again for the first half of.
Would you be kind enough to introduce?
Benjamin Rule, Ritz Club Tavern owner.
Thank you.
Thank you for the first half of the grant. Obviously coming back for the other half, which is gonna repair the remaining 3 sides of the building, which are in bad shape right now. So all the brickwork's gonna get redone, repainted, scraped, resealed, and the very back of the building as well. So just the other 3 sides of the building need to be done, and that's what we're gonna be doing.
Great.
And we previously granted you the full amount, so this is just the second piece.
Second piece, yeah,
Yep.
correct. Yep.
Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Any questions? No?
Place looks great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's
Looks great.
unanimous. It really does look nice. Just,
The lighting still needs to be done on the front,
but it's just,
yeah.
you can see you're on the way to a really great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We appreciate your investment.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the grant, facade grant request for RK Tap House and Grill.
Motion to support.
A second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to support the facade grant request for RK Tap House and Grill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we have requests by the Michigan City Professional Firefighters Local 475 and Shoreline Brewery to utilize the You Are Beautiful site, the SOLA site, on June 29th.
How you doing tonight?
Good evening.
Good evening. Nick Pabone, President of Michigan City Local 475. As the agenda states, we're seeking to request the SOLA site, We Are Beautiful, for parking. We've got a fundraiser on June 29th. It's at Shoreline Brewery. We're using their east parking lot, so we're taking up half of their parking space. So we're kind of want to make sure that there's parking for people. We used to do this fundraiser every year. COVID hit, we stopped, and we're bringing it back this year. All the proceeds go back to the community through scholarships, food baskets, Christmas gifts for kids. So we're hoping for success, but we need parking. So this was approved by the Board of Works contingent on your approval, and I'm here tonight to ask for your approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments or additional information we need to know? Tracy, do you have something?
I just wanted to say that I'm glad to see that this is going to be re-implemented. Hopefully we won't see any more future pandemics, so that I definitely would like to make a motion to support.
Great. We have a motion on the floor to support this request. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. We have a motion and a second to support the request by Local 475 and Shoreline Brewery to utilize the You Are Beautiful site for the fundraiser on June 29th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is unanimously carried. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we have a request by Antonio Conley to utilize the lots at 7th and Franklin for the first Fridays from June to October 2024. Mr. Conley.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Antonio Conley. I'm a small business owner here in Michigan City and the founder of the Kidpreneur/Buddingpreneur movement. And when I come forth to ask you guys so we can continue to use your guys' lot on 7th Street for pop-up shops for the kids, where we teach them how to be entrepreneurs and invest back into their businesses. And we also teach them about investing in stock also. So I come today to ask for permission to continue to use you guys' lots for those events.
Well, the first Fridays
For the first
from
Friday
June
on-
to October.
June to October, yes.
Yep. And just so you know, we did grant the boat races the August first Friday, but they have partnered with Mr. Connolly to do the block party in conjunction with the Kidpreneur program. So,
That's a good idea.
so we're not in conflict with any of that.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion to support, but also just to include, continue the great work that you're doing within the community and with our youth.
Thank you.
It is definitely being noticed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request by Mr. Conley to utilize the lots, not the yachts, the lots at 7th and Franklin. Although if we had yachts for the kids, that'd be great too. But 7th and Franklin for the first Friday Kidpreneur events, June through October 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is unanimously carried. Thank you for all that you do.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have a request for supplemental funds for engineering services, sanitary infrastructure in the newly annexed East TIF areas. Skylar, you want to give us?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So this is a joint partnership between the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission, the Water Department, and the Sanitation District. What's being requested of you tonight is to basically cover the engineering costs. Let me back up. Probably 2 years ago, the city council decided that they wanted to use, I think 2.5. Tracy, you might remember this more than me. I think it's 2.5 from ARPA and 2.5 million from ARPA, 2.5 million from rainy day funds. Am I correct? Okay. And at that time, we didn't have. We had not received any pays 2 years ago for our East TIF. It had just been established prior to that, probably a couple years prior to that, but we hadn't seen a lot of development. We have seen development in there now, so we're receiving some TIF from there. At the time, Water Department had stated that they have significant or enough funds to cover the engineering costs. At that time, the Sanitation Department had expressed the same. At this time, the Sanitation Department is needing to shift some money to fix some of the infrastructure that they have around their building and on their building. So that's happening right now. And then what's being asked of us, had we had money in there in our TIF account 2 years ago when this was being originally requested, we could have committed to do this engineering costs at that time. So at this time, it's being requested of us. It's coming before us again to be requested that we cover the cost of the engineering for this. Where we're at this time is, I believe we're in a final engineering, and we're in need of moving forward through bidding and construction construction oversight engineering. But as we are from February to now, we're asked to cover those costs. Those costs are about $143,000. So what's being requested of us tonight is to a not to exceed number of $150,000 to cover the engineering costs for the annexation expansion of the sanitary sewer in our newly annexed area. The reason we need to do this is that in order for us to we annexed this area and then we added it into our TIF area. And in order to make in order to generate additional TIF increments in this area, we have to have sanitation and water in this area. So that's really what we're trying to do, is get the water and sanitation in place so that Clarence and I and other entities in our city can bring companies to this area and expand our industrial base, or not only industrial, but just commercial and industrial base in this area. And we have to have water and sewer there. And right now, currently, there is none in that area. Did I cover everything?
Yeah, I think this is a good news story. So
Yeah, it is a good news
The good news is, first of all, the East Side TIF is actually gathering funds.
Yes,
we have significant dollars in there now that we did not have several years ago. That's good news. And then this is furthering the annexation project so that through a joint venture, we're going to be able to spur growth and spur development, which is not just to reimburse the TIF funds, but it's good for the city. That's new jobs, new homes, and encouraging development and investment in our city. So this to me is a no-brainer. It's a good news story to take our TIF funds and actually plow them back in to make the area grow and develop in a healthy fashion.
Absolutely.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Oh, she covered it.
Well said,
Sheila
President
covered.
Sheila. Well said.
Okay.
I would like to make the motion to approve the $150K for the payment on the to continue with the design
Great.
and engineering.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I'd like to second that, but if I can also add, if she could amend not to exceed
Oh, 100.
150,000.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. So the motion stands as a request for supplemental funds for engineering services in the newly annexed East TIF not to exceed $150,000. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Excellent. Next, we have the approval of the annual TIF pass-through letters to overlapping tax districts. So in your package, you have a collection of letters that are addressed to LaPorte County. Skylar, can you give us a quick explanation of those letters?
This is just the annual requirement of statutory requirements that we need to meet in order to function as a redevelopment commission. And then this is just notifying our other taxing entities of our intent and purpose for creating the TIF and maintaining the TIF increment financing districts. Did I miss anything in there?
No surplus.
Yeah, there's no surplus.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion. No, we don't have a motion. May I have a motion of approval for the annual TIF pass-through letters to overlapping taxing districts.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the annual TIF pass-through letters.
We have a
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the annual TIF pass-through letters. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Next on the agenda, we have a proposal in regards to global engineering, Franklin Street alignment, adjustment, and striping plans for 2023 in coordination with CCMG funding.
I did ask the Shim come here tonight to fill in blanks. But let me give a little background on this. A few years ago, we put together a proposal to basically turn Franklin. We were exploring the options of turning Franklin into a two-way street. At that time, it was simply a restriping project. We did bid. I think we did bid out that it was part of a package bid, and it came back very expensive, and we ended up not even doing it. But in the process of doing that, and with our new city engineer being hired, we started thinking about it really is a little bit more involved than a restriping, and specifically in between the blocks of 10th and 8th Street, if I'm correct. And from there, I'm going to let Shim take it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sal. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sham Khalil, Global Engineering at 601 Franklin Street. I believe the project scope was requested based on realignment between 10th Street all the way to 8th Street. Probably if you drive Franklin on a daily basis, just like me, you'll see a deflection in the curb itself. And it's not aligned correctly with the center line of Franklin Street. So that will be adjusted based on that project. And the center line will be basically matching the center line of Franklin Street between 9th and 8th. The project itself will involve the striping, which will change the traffic pattern to two-way instead of one-way. And it will add parking between 9th and 11th, if I'm not mistaken. So the net parking will be exactly the same between 11th all the way to 4th. I think I summarized that really quick.
So what this does, yeah, this is just to basically, rather than keeping the pinch point in at 9th Street, which we theoretically could flip it as stands, but it really does need to be realigned. It creates a very strange, a very unsafe traffic pattern at that street specifically. The previous design was just simply restriping, and it did not include addressing that point. And our city engineer really thinks that we should take the time, if we're going to do this, to make the investment and to take the time to redesign that pinch point and make it safe, and to add parking further down and make it all fit together.
Right.
Cohesive.
And to add to this project was initiated actually by the CCMG with the city. The CCMG was applied for in January. Franklin Street was included to be repaved. Part of the repaving involves some curbing replacement. So this might actually fall under that as well. So the construction cost itself will be substantially borne by the grant itself. So it's a heavy saving to the city doing this project and adjusting the alignment and making it a two-way project. And a net parking, no loss. And no backup parking.
Nope. We're not reverse angle parking.
Right.
So when you say that a repave, can you, for those that don't understand, can you explain, like, are we milling down just the surface? Are we going into the intermediate binder, or, you know?
So during the CCMG, we added actually a full patch. That depends on the proof rolling during the construction itself. So we allowed in the grant to replace a full depth if need be though. But it'll be based on testing during the construction. Hopefully the street or the base will be okay, you know, and that'll be a major saving as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one more comment. This is just the beginning of this process. Shem and I have talked. We will have some public meetings coming up. We'll have to, the Board of Works get in. It's not just our commission that will be giving approvals, if you will. Board of Works would have to give approval. We'd have to talk about this in public. We need to prep the public. There's a lot of things that will be happening. This is just the basic beginning of this process.
So we are requesting from the board to add, Mr. York, we requested from the Board of Public Works to advertise for this project on the 18th and opening the bids on July 15th. Presuming that this will move forward as such, it will be paid probably toward the end of the season. So by September, second week of September after Labor Day.
That's actually better because of our summer. It'll be confusing for people for a bit.
Yeah.
Although my understanding is a lot of the business owners down there are looking forward to the change. They think it'll encourage traffic to their businesses and make it easier to access.
Sometimes too, we even go past the new year and have to pave in spring, and we just won't know that until we actually get the schedule and like kind of what's going on from the awardee.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve this proposal from Global Engineering for the Franklin Street Alignment Adjustment and Striping Plan and send it off to the Board of Works. Is it? Sure. If there's any members of the public who'd like to speak at this time, feel free. I knew you'd have something to say. Good job.
I've been writing notes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Scott Mellon-Turner, Kenwood Place. Great presentation, Mr. Hulse, at Common Council last week with all this going on. Thank you very much. I watched it online. It was great to see all the stuff that's going on. It's really exciting to hear about all the things going on. Hearing Shem speak just now, though, I'm concerned because all of a sudden I heard about making Franklin two-way again. I specifically asked about that project in a Common Council meeting, and the mayor answered directly that that was no longer on the agenda or a priority of her administration. That included the backup parking that now, so I don't know what's changing here because that proposal that was in the paper a year ago or
over a year.
Yeah. The backup parking, by my count, we lost about 20% of the available spaces. Backup parking, I thought, was a disastrous idea. Most people can't drive well forward, let alone backing up. So it's one thing to make a realignment if our center line is off. It's a whole, but this sounds like a much bigger project that, as you're alluding to up here, you haven't had public comment. It hasn't gone through the other committees for. But what are we talking about? Are we thinking about making Franklin Square two ways again?
Correct.
Why?
That's what we're taking the opportunity to do that with the CCMG and the paving and the amount. Because last time we bid it out, we could not afford to do it at that time.
And for those of us that don't know what the CCMG is,
Community Crossings Grant. Yep.
Great. So we're getting money to do it, but they would help us pave it the way it is.
Yes, but we want to take the opportunity to maximize the use of that money. And this is the maximization of that money.
I still would question the effectiveness of making Franklin two-way at this point. That's a very slow zone as it is with the choke down stop signs every 250 feet. The major thoroughfares on either side of it, Pine Street and Washington, have been made two-way. Franklin's been one-way northbound now for over 20 years. I think people are pretty used to that. And there's very little traffic coming from the north, from in front of the library headed south down. I personally don't see a need for it. I don't see the advantage. So my concern is that this is the nose of the camel going under the tent about this whole two-way thing, which from my last communication with the mayor was done and wasn't happening. So I don't know. I like improvements, but I don't like change for change's sake. I don't know if this actually serves an advantage or not. And I'd like to see more information, which I'm sure will be in the future, as to what the benefits might be. Otherwise, I don't see the need for it. Thank you.
Thank you. In regards to safety, do we have any data that we can share or comments from law enforcement in regards to safety?
We'll probably have to get those comments. Like I said, this is just the beginning of this starting process.
Yeah, I think that'd be really important. Anyone else have any comments? Anyone from the public have comments? Anyone online have comments? This time I'll close public comment. Are there any members of the commission who wish to speak? All right, we have a motion and a second for the Global Engineering Franklin Street Alignment Adjustment and Striping plans. And as we mentioned, this is just the beginning of this proposal going forward. It has to be supported by the Redevelopment Commission before it can be heard by any other bodies. So at this time, I would ask for your vote on this motion.
We need to put the 55,000.
Oh, okay, I did not know that. All right, our attorney has just mentioned that we need to add that it's not to exceed $55,000. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
We have a nay. Ms. Tillman? The motion is carried. Next on the agenda, we have a task order and addendum, Global Engineering Construction Administration 2023 CCMG 2. I don't know what that means, but
So this is for
second phase?
yes. So what this is engineering services for construction oversight. Correct my language. It's not called that. What is it? Inspection, construction inspection, engineering inspection services. So when we approved the original 1.5,
Correct.
that
That was for this year.
that was for this year, and then this is for the whole entire.
Last,
So this is all of it, 1 and 2, basically, or just 1.
just the last year one.
Yes. So we did not. You may recall that we did not have a city engineer for the past few years, and we have a city engineer now. Our city engineer has not been allocated a budget to do these things, but we still have a CCMG that has been awarded. Shim Global Engineering has taken over the contract for CCMG 1, which is going on right now. That is the paving that you're seeing right now. What is being asked of us is that we would cover the engineering inspections for 1, and then I believe 2 is built into that 1.5, if I'm not mistaken.
That was with the Board of Public Works.
Yes, that was with the Board of Public Works. So that's what's being asked of us right now, is that we do not have the funds at the city to cover this cost, and it's being asked that the Redevelopment Commission would cover the cost of making sure that our roads are inspected correctly and that they're put in correctly, and Global is in charge of that contract.
And the figure is not to exceed $60,000. Correct?
That's correct, and we would basically this wouldn't just come out of the north; it would come out of the south and other other TIFs as well.
Sorry for missing part of that, but what does this have to do with redevelopment? I had that question beforehand.
This is the repaving of all the pavement that's happening right now in the city, and Shim will be providing the oversight for the construction. Oh man, why can I never think of it? Inspections, engineering. So like to making sure that the surface is good, that our crosswalks are in good shape, that they make sense, and that they're done correctly. What does this have to do with Redevelopment Commission? Well-paved streets help encourage development and growth in our city, and also provide benefits to our local businesses and our, in general, our community.
And some of these roads are in the TIF districts.
Actually, a large majority of them. Yeah. So, yes. Since we've expanded, yes, they are.
Any other comments or questions? I didn't. Oh, go.
So I just want to make sure I understand. So, global engineering, along with our city engineer, you will also be inspecting what the city engineer will be expecting to determine sidewalks or street paving and things of that nature?
No.
Am I, okay,
I'm not quite sure if I'm following the question, but I'll try to answer, Mr. Ullman.
so the amount is not to exceed 60,000,
Correct.
and this is for global engineering to do inspections of sidewalks and streets and things of that nature, but is that not?
Only ones that are affected by CCMG 1. So only those.
Okay,
Does that, yeah, I probably just kind of glazed over that one. Yeah, only that first round, Tracy, of CCMG 1 that you guys approved last year is happening right now.
okay,
That's all the paving that's going on right now. Our city engineer is still out inspecting other things that aren't even related to this stuff right now. He's got his interns out doing the sidewalk inventory right now, and then he's doing the day-to-day tasks here inside City Hall and doing his day-to-days. Shim would just be focused on that CCMG project
okay,
and reporting back to Mr. Warner.
okay. Thank you.
If I may, Ms. Flynn.
Please.
I think the 2023 -2, there's 2 cycles for community crossing grant every year. The city applied for the 2023 -2, and there was a bid out. The construction was going to happen for 2024, even though it was applied in 2023. Construction inspection was not part of this project at the time. And this is basically the construction inspection to manage 2 things. One is the closing of the grant itself after the completion of the project, and during the project itself, it needed to be inspected. So those are normally happen with any type of grant that the city receives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Shim.
You're welcome.
Much more eloquent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the addendum of the global proposal for not to exceed amount of 60,000 for the CCMG 2023 Part 2 tasks involved for construction administration, observation, and the closeout documents as required.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this task order and addendum and a figure of not to exceed $60,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion has carried. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Shim, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Next, we have update and approval on the 11th Street Station, the garage and residential tower. I know a lot of people never thought they'd actually see something so big growing in the middle of our community. So tell us all about that.
It's coming right along. On the 17th of this month, they will begin to set the foundation for the tower crane, which will be different than the crane that's there right now. It will be 200 and something feet tall tower crane. So they'll be building that foundation that will be in the middle of that site. So I'll start around the 7th. I think it's on the 17th. They've notified us. Other than that, transportation from Franciscan. I haven't heard any. I've been checking in. I haven't heard anything out of the ordinary. I think it's going really well with the transportation up Wabash to 10th and then across and then lifting off in 10th. We haven't had any main brand. No, nothing major has happened in this process. So it's been pretty, seems like pretty effortless or seamless. Now, right now, they're just setting some of the major pieces that will kind of hold a lot of the weight. But before long, you will see a lot of pieces moving through the city, probably a little bit quicker than they are right now. These are just like the elevator chute and the stairways, things like that, which is typically what are set first, and they kind of build around that and connect to it. So before long, you'll be seeing a lot more activity and a lot more structure going up there.
Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, update on the interceptor trench.
We're within days of being done. It's installed, not working yet, but will be tested. And then we just, like I say, basically it's just we've got to wait till 2025, have 2 different test periods. One will be later on in the early fall. The next one will be sometime during the winter of 2025. Hopefully this works the way it's being represented as working, as approved by IDEM, and that we will be, that IDEM site will be closed, and we'll be able to start looking at developing that entire area. Related to that, as you know, one of my pet peeves is complaining about IDEM and their stupidity. As you recall from our station block project, because we missed a deadline on something that had already been done, they were ordered to fine us originally $7,000 and then $2,200, and ultimately we got it worked down to, I want to say, $600, which this commission approved. But the contingency on the $600 was that it had to be spent on some type of environmental project. So we put that $600 to the trench interceptor, which I think had a cost of really close to $1 million. So we have met our obligation to IDEM, and they will close out that problem. I sent you all pictures of that, I think, on Friday. Just looks great. It's in, it's working, or it will be working, and now we just got to sit and wait. So we're good.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, let's move on. South TIF connectivity improvement project. Any updates?
I do see Mr. Laughlin out here in the audience. I'll ask him to come up and give us a quick update, and then I'm going to give us an update. Alan and I have had contact with a couple of the property owners down there. We're working through some agreements, and it mainly deals with some wetland issues that we're dealing with down there. We have met with the property owners. They are exploring on their own some mitigation things that they would like to move forward with, and then just kind of negotiating with them on some proposals to be brought back to the Redevelopment Commission. And then Ryan, I'm going to ask you just to kind of give us a little update too, just to fill in the blanks.
Sure. Good evening, Commissioners. Ryan Laughlin with Haas and Associates at 526 Franklin Street. Just not a lot to update you on this meeting since the last status update we provided you for your last meeting on the 13th. But I'll just kind of highlight some of the main things and fill in the gaps, as you say. Construction contract number 1, which was for Larkspur Lane and on the west side of Highway 421, that's all closed out. As Skylar was alluding to, there's some land conveyancing and permitting things that are ongoing that Alan's working on. And so we met on April 10th to talk about that type of work, and that's still in process. There's still quite a bit of land and easements that need to be secured before we can actually go out and build this infrastructure. We talked about potentially breaking out a small piece of this larger project to do this later this year, to construct later this year. That's mainly the sidewalk along Town Center Drive, bus bays along Town Center Drive, sidewalk and bus bay on Meyer Drive, and then potentially some sidewalk on Larkspur Lane Extended, which is right there north of Menards. That could easily be broken out from the other work if that was desired by this commission. So we're kind of waiting to hear from you guys if that's something you want to do. We can make that happen if you do want to. Otherwise, it would be constructed along with the other major improvements with the roadway extensions and so forth. That will occur, subsequent to permitting being secured, easements being secured, and all that kind of stuff. So what else to say? As I mentioned, we're continuing the design, focusing on that potential breakout project, construction contract number 2. And then the rest of the design is ongoing as well.
So basically what we're talking about is maybe once you get across at Larkspur, we did good to get you across 421, but now you're really just kind of dumped out into Town Center Drive, and there's nowhere to go. What we were talking about is going ahead and maybe implementing our plan for Town Center Drive, meaning that we would do some pedestrian improvements, some bus shelter improvements, start getting the buses on. The buses are already going on to Town Center Drive, but basically like just going ahead and maybe implementing those improvements. And those are the things I'd like to bring back to the commission if that's something we'd like to entertain doing.
There's one other thing that we talked about when we met on the 10th was potentially expanding the scope of the South TIF to possibly build a new road that would be between the Baymont Inn, I believe, and the Big Lots. It's already actually an approach there where the road would go, but there is no road there currently. That would connect over to Meyer Drive and unlock some redevelopment commission land that could be developed, as well as some other landlocked privately owned parcels that could also be developed. That would all be very well in line with the existing scope of the project. So that was something else that was talked about, but we await direction from the commission on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions or comments? Thank you for the information.
Thank you, Ryan.
Really
That was great.
Next, we have updates and approvals for the You Are Beautiful site. Anything new there?
We have gotten a draft of our redevelopment agreement back to the SOLA attorneys. I have spoke with their. I've had a meeting with their developer committee that they have, or kind of outlining some of the things that we're looking at or that we expect of them. We're waiting to hear back on their comments back to us on the redevelopment agreement. They are also providing us an outline of their ask, their final ask of us, and then use of funds, things of that nature. So they're giving us that. I think tomorrow I should have that in hand, and then we'll be able to move forward with the redevelopment agreement. Obviously, that would have to come to this redevelopment commission, and then we would hopefully entertain that at a meeting very soon.
Excellent. Any questions? Anyone?
I would add too, they have started sales of their condos. So that means that they have their Bill, forgive me, what is it? Their documents are in order for the sales of that condo. What is that? Condo docs. Their condo docs are in order. They've started sales as of yesterday, and they have 15 more meetings, I was told, today. So they have 500 people on their waiting list, but they are taking actual deposits on those sales right now. Sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Couldn't think of the word anyway. It's okay.
Condo docs covered it. Well, that's interesting if they have 500 people on the wait list, because all the negative Nancy's out there are saying no one will ever want to buy anything there. So it's interesting that there is a heavy interest. I think that's worth sharing that story.
I think they're trying to convert 100 maybe into purchases. So, I mean, it seems like the odds are pretty good.
That's great. That's great. All right. Next, we have report by legal counsel.
Couple of things. First, prior to this meeting, then also we had executive session. We also had an executive session, special executive session on June 5th. No issues were discussed in those meetings that are not permitted by the open door law, and no decisions were made. Last meeting, we talked about for the Fifth and Pine project, in an anticipation that we will be hopefully developing a huge project there, which will require conveying redevelopment commission property to a private developer. Part of the requirement of that is determining a price on a public offering, an asking price, minimum asking price. Part of that process requires getting, which you approved last time, getting appraisals done. I just got the appraisals late this morning, early afternoon, have not looked at them yet, but we'll share with Skylar. But that part should be done, obviously ahead of time, and we'll be in good shape on that. finally, with regards to the three-way liquor license, Fiddleheads has had a three-way liquor license for 5, 6 years, maybe even longer than that, shortly after they first opened. 2 years ago or so, they came to the commission pursuant to our rules and said even though they're still Fiddleheads, they are changing the corporate structure of their ownership. And what that required pursuant to our rules is that we had to then retract the original approval and then reissue another liquor license to the name of their new corporation, which we did. They came back to us recently and said that for what other reasons, other than just to capture under the state bureaucratic snafu, that finally has just been approved in terms of getting their corporate structure renamed. But so then when they went to try to get their three-way liquor license, the Beverage of Alcohol Commission said, we need an updated letter from the city. So what they are asking us and what I'm asking you to approve is to basically give a new or a revised, not new, a revised letter of approval from the city of the Redevelopment Commission and the city of Michigan City to Fiddlehead so they can go forth with the liquor license that we approved about 13, 14 months ago, but under the new corporate name. And then to get that, so then they can actually be lawful the way they're doing it.
Okay. So you need a motion for that?
Need a motion
Okay.
approval.
All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve submitting a revised letter to Fiddleheads based on their need and their new corporate structure.
I make that motion, please.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the submission of a letter from the commission in support of Fiddlehead's three-way liquor license. This is basically a duplicate of the letter that we approved several years ago with change of date and change of corporate name as they've restructured. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you.
That's all.
Motion is carried. I thank you. Next, we have a report of the director, and I've asked him to also include the financial report in brief because I did omit that on the agenda early on in the meeting.
I'm going to start out with the financial report just to get that out of the way. This is a financial balance sheet for 4/30/2024 or ending 4/30/2024. And cash, our operating account, we have $129,381.66. Our South Side TIF account, we have $8,013,802.18. The South Side TIF debt reserve account, we have $336,308.50. On our Southside TIF capital account, we have $16,199.79. In our North End TIF account, we have $4,444,241.79. In the East Side TIF, we have $485,112.33. In our Northeast TIF account, we have $905,000. We have $905,356.25. Our loans receivable, we have County Business Loan Fund for $133,333.00 for total assets of $14,463,735.50.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's the end of the day. It's only Monday, Scott. Okay, so some other business that I need to.
Wait, we're gonna have a motion to approve
I'm so sorry.
the balance sheet.
Yeah.
So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the balance sheet as presented.
I'll make that motion to approve the balance sheet as presented.
Thank you, Sherry.
Support.
We have a motion and support for the financial report dated April 30th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion is carried.
Thank you. Apologize for
Please
jumping
continue.
forward. As part of your packet, I got this the day that I actually sent out the packet or delivered the packet. It's for the Lubeznik Center for the Arts. They are requesting the permission to use the You Are Beautiful lot. I have confirmed that when solar breaks ground, that it will not interfere with this festival. They're thinking of breaking ground in September at this time, or at least fencing in September, prepping the site. There's a lot that goes into that, the construction project. But we will have use of this site up until the probably middle of August. At that point in time, we should be careful about what we approve past that. I've been asked that question numerous times. And I think August is kind of where we're going to have to draw the line at this time. So this event, I have confirmed with the SOLA people. We're good to go on this. This is Lou Besnick Center for the Arts. So they'll be starting on 8 a.m. on Friday, August 16th until 7 p.m. on Sunday, August 18th. This has been approved by the Board of Works for the street closures. It's basically the same layout that they've had for, I think, the past 4 years. They've been doing it this way. We have talked about alternative locations for parking next time. So hopefully we won't be using this for a parking lot in the future. But as of right now, we're good to go. There also is it's a copy of a copy, but you can kind of get the gist of the layout in the back, and it's the same as it has been in the past 3 or 4 years. So that's what's being asked of us. That's one request of us to use this site.
All right, so I would accept a motion to approve Lebesnick Center for the Arts to use the You Are Beautiful site from 8 a.m. Friday, August 16th until 7 p.m. on Sunday, August 18th for their arts festival.
I'll make a motion to support.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to support the Lebesnick Center for the Arts request for use of the You Are Beautiful property for the Lebesnick Art Festival. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you. Please continue.
My last one actually has to deal with this use of this lot as well. As you're aware, when we have events such as the boat race weekend and specifically July 4th and the boat race weekends, our lot gets used kind of as default because there's just a lot of people here. In the past, we have actually granted the EMA to take control of our lot during that day and make sure that it is managed in an appropriate manner, and then they charge to park there. Then they keep the EMA, Emergency Management, which is a volunteer organization. They basically keep the funds from that, and they use that to purchase equipment, upgrade their equipment that they need, and then also keep in mind they do a lot of volunteering at our events, such as this past weekend they did the sand sculpture festival. So we've done this before. I think left to the public, it might be a madhouse to be parking there, and I'd much rather have the EMA managing that parking for us to make sure that no one's running through our fencing and hitting our You Are Beautiful sculpture. We had some of that happen in the past, and I'd like to not repeat that. So the EMA said, hey, we'll do this for you, but we want to charge you to park, and we've done it in the past, and I think it would be a very wise decision to do it again and let them manage that space. The times would be July 4th from 9 to 12, from 9 a.m. to 12 at night. They basically kind of set up a headquarters there, if you will. They just kind of stay there. I know that's kind of early, right? 9 to 12, but that's what they've requested. And then boat race weekend would be August 3rd and 4th from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's what they would like to request.
So the request is coming from EMA?
It is from Mr. Ricky Jackson and the EMA group.
Great.
Yes.
I would entertain a motion to approve the dates requested by EMA to use the City Hall parking lot, July 4th and August 3rd and 4th.
It'll be the You Are Beautiful parking lot, not City Hall.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to clarify.
Gotcha.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the EMA's use of the lot as presented for the dates requested.
Right. We have a second?
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for use of the You Are Beautiful site on July 4th and August 3rd and 4th by EMA to support community parking and careful moving of people in and out. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion has carried. Anything else, Skylar?
Give me 1 second. Lost my email.
I guess these are good problems to have, but we're gonna probably have to figure out where to put all these people in the
Yes,
in the
we
future
are.
as these sites get filled with
Um,
new development and new construction and more people.
This is an announcement, just kind of a public announcement that will come out at Board of Works as well. But while I've got time, I'm going to make it a public announcement that the CSX Railroad is replacing railroad crossings through the city. Finally, it's been a while. So this one is going to be at Jackson and North Greenwood. There's a CSX crossing there, and this will be between the dates of Tuesday, June 18th and Thursday, June 20th. So I just want to make that announcement, and then we will talk about this at the Board of Works Monday as well. Thank you. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
That's the tracks right by the Gardena Park, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And it was June 18th to
June 18th through the 20th.
20th, and it'll be a full closure?
Yes, I think it'll be a full closure. It'll involve a full closure. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, at this time, I'd entertain public comment. Are there any members of the public, either present or on Zoom, who would like to speak?
Oh, hi, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I'd just like to do a little follow-up for the sidewalks that are going on Sound Tenor Drive. Last year, they talked about putting in the sidewalks on Paz and Woodland between, I know this isn't a Redevelopment Commission project, but the sidewalks on Paz and Woodland between the new Little Woes Early Childhood Learning Center and Michigan City High School. That's a very important project. It needs to be done. It kind of goes hand in hand with the recent reconstruction of Paz Road. Is there any kind of updates and we're going to see that going in from the planning department? Because, you know, that should have been done right when after school got let out. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Hello, Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. If I could follow up a couple things. I know I can't ask the attorney directly, but he spoke about the trench interceptor. I believe as part of that project, there was also a lateral connection to the 54-inch main. Has that also been completed at this time? Great, that's great. That's a big part of the project.
Yeah, it sure is.
The man who's doing the kiddie entrepreneur thing on the first Friday sounds great.
Mr. Conley. Mm-hmm.
But maybe we should have said you get to use a certain portion of those lots. Those are huge lots at 7th Street, and I wouldn't want to preclude any other potential uses for those Fridays throughout the whole summer. Nothing against him at all. I want him to have the space he needs, but I imagine that's, you know, a 20-foot strip along the sidewalk or something like that. Just something to keep in mind. We don't want to block off the whole available thing for something else potentially there. We've recently heard about billion-dollar and multi-billion-dollar developments going in the county. We all know LaPorte City got some good news. Rolling Prairie's gotten some good news. New Carlisle's gotten some good news vis-a-vis development. And I know we're busting our tails trying to attract development here. The East Side Annex, how many acres is that? How large is that? Is that a suitable site for one of these billion-dollar type deals?
Absolutely.
Yes and no. It's 429 acres, but not all in one location. So you can't build one building. It's two separate sites, number of different sites. Number two, the largest site is 125 acres with about a 40-acre wetland in the middle. So that precludes something 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We need to annex more properties on the edge of the city to get them in. But we have talked to a few who need smaller space. Another issue would be height. You can't go over 40 feet by the sites on the east side because of the airport. So there are certain limitations that we can go after. We're talking to two right now that look for smaller sites, but not the side of LaPorte. In the future, when we annex more property on the east and south, we can.
Well, good luck on that. And just my last comment is to circle back to the Franklin Street redevelopment. If we go to two-way, we mentioned Shem mentioned, curb cuts or curb redoing. Think about it now. When you're northbound, when you're driving up Franklin, you have a choice of parking on either side. If you reverse it, you're only going to have the choice to park on one side, which kind of reduces your available parking by half, because if you see a spot on the other side, you have to circle around, and that's actually a huge amount of congestion in cities, people going around the block for parking. The other thing is those pedestrian bump outs we already have all through Franklin Square, the traffic calming bump outs, are angled. And if you change to two-way traffic and change the way parking pulls in, you have to re-angle all those curbs. Again, it's a lot of change for essentially no benefit, in my view. You don't gain parking, you create disruption, you redo something that's been redone 3 times in my lifetime. So again, if it serves a purpose and we actually gain something, it's one thing. But if it's change for change's sake, I, for one, wouldn't support that, because there are some disadvantages. Like I said, you lose available parking as you try to navigate the place. You have to redo the curbs just to change the angles of the parking. So that's my comment on that. Okay.
Thank you.
We had mentioned the potential of a traffic, what we call a traffic analysis study.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to proclaim that what I've just jotted out here is by any means, because I am not a licensed engineer, but I have done these studies. I have done intersection geometrics, was part of my career. And just here real quickly, doing some drawing and looking at it right now, I think you can make about 7 legal movements within the 2 lanes, including people coming out of parking spots, by flipping it, one going one way, one going the other way. You then make it to only 2 legal movements per lane and reduce the amount of clipping of accidents. Right now, you can do a blind turn on someone if you're turning from the right lane into the left lane at any of the stop signs, things like that. So yes, one-ways are safer when you're dealing with high speed, but when you're dealing with low speed and maneuverings that can be done as crisscrosses, you have a lot of pinch point and zigzagging potentials. And so this would actually reduce that amount of maneuvers that could pinch each other.
I absolutely understand what you're saying, but it's a very slow zone, congested area. You're right. It's awkward backing out into traffic lanes as it is, which it would remain now.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you're saying, reduce the potential points of conflict. I understand what you're saying. The city doesn't need another study. The city's sick with studies. It's pretty much got a reputation for doing study after study on stuff. So I don't mean any disrespect, but just leave it the way it is. That's all. Thank you.
Point well taken. Thank you. At this time, we'll close public comment and open it up to commissioner comments. Are there any commissioners who wish to speak or have something they'd like to add? Anyone? All right, time for dinner. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
We have a motion.
Support.
We have a second. The meeting stands adjourned. I'm going to presume it's unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioner.